Okay, good evening everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruchim Abbaim. We have an amazing subject tonight. We're continuing the Shiur on Sefer Vayikra, but tonight we're speaking about a general subject relevant to Chodesh Nisan and the Yom Tov of Pesach Haba Aleinu L'Toiva. The Shiurim are generously sponsored by Dr. Zakheim Mishpachta Lili Nishmas of Shom Le'ezer ben Rabbi Yaakov Zakheim and Lili Eloi Nishmas Dr. Zakheim's mother Rivka Bas Tovi Halevi and Rab David ben Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi HaKohen. Tonight's Shiur is dedicated by my dear friends Reb Chaim and Reb Yitzchak Adler, who are regular Mishtatfim in our Shiurim, in honor of their father's Yortzeit tonight. Reb Moshe Binyamin ben Yisrael Shmuel, who is a Holocaust survivor, who was Maimad, Doiros, Yisharim, Umevayrachim. May his neshama have an aliyah, be a male tzedek for his whole family, and be a skal tzedek. Tonight's Shiur is dedicated by my dear friend Reb Eli Babayev, in honor of his grandfather's 27th Yortzeit. Le'iloi Nishmas, Yisachar ben Yeshua, B'gan Eden, Tehim Nuchasa, should be a male tzedek for his whole mishpacha, Ad be a skal tzedek. Tonight's Shiur is dedicated by my dear friends Reb Shaya and Reb Yehuda Yoel Levi, in honor of their mother's birthday today. She should have Arichas Yamim Vishanim Gezint and Nachas Mikol Yotzei Chalatzeha Ad Bi Askal Tzedek. Okay, we have some good news. First of all, I'm going to show you a picture now. You can't show it to anybody. Don't take like a snapshot of the screen and you're going to take a snapshot. I'm going to hold it up very quickly. Any unauthorized reproduction of this will be published, will be prosecuted to the extreme. Okay, the new Sefer on Lag BaOmer, which is almost finished. I did 17 out of 18 chapters. The 18th, I already did 2 rounds of editing. About 2 more to go. Has a cover. It's a rough draft. You ready? Fasten your seatbelts. The fire and the soul. Yeah, that's Meron. That's the fire. Don't say, I recognize that guy, he's my third cousin. Maybe he's your third cousin permanently removed. You're not going to be able to recognize anybody, but this is the iconic picture of Meron, the mystical power of Lag BaOmer, Rosh Hashanah, and the Zohar HaKadosh. If anybody wants to see Mishtatev, there's some excellent opportunities that are still available. Okay? In honor of
I'm looking at myself.
You see yourself?
Yeah.
Over here, the top right corner. Get your Haggadah, bubble wrapped Haggadah. Now I would recommend getting 2. One you keep bubble wrapped, and the other one you could open up, right? This way one of them will be kosher Pesach. And the Sefer in Lashon HaKodesh was just reprinted, just arrived in America, and that is available. Okay, Amar Rabbi Sai, we're going to be continuing on the subject of Tzipisa Yeshua, because that's also in the queue, translating the Sefer the Chafetz Chaim Tzipisa Yeshua, and especially now that we're in Chodesh Nisan, where the Gemara tells us, Chazal say, B'Nisan Nigalu, U'V'Nisan Asidan Ligal. In Nisan we were redeemed, in Nisan we are destined to be redeemed. A few weeks ago, we had a shiur on the 13 places in Shachris where you can be Mitzapeh Yeshua. And you're probably wondering, is he going to review all 13 now? No. Because actually I was thinking about it today and I missed one. So I'm going to review 13 and tell you an added one. We're making a bookmark. It's being worked on. It's going to be here maybe by next week. A bookmark. All the places in davening to be Mitzapeh Yeshua on one side. On the other side, all the places to have in mind to daven for your children. Okay, that's coming out soon. So the 13 places plus one is when you say the Parshas HaTamid and you say that it should be considered like we were makriv of the carbon Tamid, and please rebuild the Beis Hamikdash Meher v'Yameinu. That's number 1. Number 2, at the end of Rabbi Shmuel Omer, Yiratzayin Sheyabana Beis Hamikdash. When you say Kaddish, Yiskadel v'Yiskadesh Shmei Rabba, you're mispalel for the Geula, that Hashem's name should be made great and glorious. Number 4, the Halalukas are speaking about the 5 epic periods at the end of world history. Number 5, when you say at the end of Yotzer HaMa'oros, Or Chadash Al Tzion Ta'ir V'Nizkach Chulan Meher L'Orai. In Ahava Rabbah, when you say V'Havienu L'Shalom Me'arba Kanfos Haaretz. Many of them in Shemana Esrei, Goyal Yisrael, Mekabetz Nidchei Ama Yisrael, Boinei Yerushalayim, Es tzemach David. Then, when you say Ritzei v'sachazenu einenu, the end of Shemona Esrei, where you say Yiratzon she'yibana beis hamikdash meher v'yameinu. And here's the one we forgot. How could we forget it? Eitan, why didn't you remind me this one? I'm blaming it on you. We should have said at the end of Uvalat Tzion, Yiratzon milfanecha Hashem Elokeinu Elokei Avosenu, shenishmar chukecha ba'olam hazeh, v'nizkeh, v'nichya, v'nireh, v'nirash toivo uvracha, l'shnei yemois hamoshiach. We missed that one. But ein beis hamedrash b'loi chidush, so that will be number 14. Okay? And then also at the end of in Aleinu, Al Kain Nekavelecha Hashem Elokeinu. Today we're going to speak about a different topic. Today we're going to speak about how the Jewish calendar is such that throughout the entire scope and gamut of the calendar, at every occasion, one of the most important responsibilities and avodos we have is to be mitzapeh liyeshua. Today we're going to go around the year. Okay? We're going to go around the year. We're going to start with Rosh Chodesh. Okay? Rosh Chodesh. In a person's mind, when they think, okay, Rosh Chodesh is coming, and what are you supposed to do? What do you do on Rosh Chodesh? So in yeshiva, the main thing you do on Rosh Chodesh is you eat donuts. Right? Every Rosh Chodesh, they get donuts. But actually, that's not one of the mandatory avodas to fulfill on Rosh Chodesh. What are you supposed to do on Rosh Chodesh? What is the avodah of Rosh Chodesh? In Ya'aleh V'Yaveh, what do we say? We say our tefillah should go up and come and reach and be seen and be favored and be understood and be considered and be remembered. And the memory of our fathers should be remembered. V'zichroin moshiach ben David avdecha. We're mispalel that Hashem should remember Mashiach and remember Yushalayim and remember all of Klal Yisrael. L'chein u'lechesed u'rachmim. One of the most important functions of Rosh Chodesh is to daven for the coming of Mashiach. Hey, I never knew that. You did know that, but you didn't realize. You said it, you knew it, but it didn't make any impression on you. I am not here tonight to tell you even one new idea. Sorry. I'm just here to remind you what we already know. And that is one of the main functions of Rosh Chodesh is to be mitzapeh liyeshua. Think about what we say in the Musaf. We say, Mizbeach chadash b'tzion tachen. Hashem, a new Beis Hamikdash. Yiratzon and the Shemona Esrei. Avada, we said that. Mizbeach chadash b'tzion tachen. A new Mizbeach you should make in Tzion. Va'oilas Rosh Chodesh na'ala alav. We're going to bring the oil of Rosh Chodesh. Uva'avodas Beis Hamikdash nismach kulanu. We're going to rejoice in the avodah of Beis Hamikdash. Uv'shirei David avdecha hanishmam bi'recha. And in the songs of David, your servant, that are heard in your city, Ahavas oilam tavi lahem uv'resav v'yisal banim tizkar. It will bring eternal love. And the covenant that Hashem made with the Avos, he'll remember for his descendants. V'avienu l'tzion. The main body of the Musaf is a prayer that Hashem should rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, and we should go back to Tzion, and we should bring karbanos. So, let's say, if Rosh Chodesh passed, and all you did was you ate a custard donut, and you didn't make it one of the main principles of the day to daven for Mashiach, then all you got that day was an extra 500 calories. That's it. But you didn't actually fulfill the purpose of the day. The purpose of Rosh Chodesh is to be mitzapeh liyeshua. Let's come to the Leil Seder. This is an idea we mentioned many times. If you want to know what a book is about, what do? A teacher have to teach you how to read a book. You open up to the first page, you read the first page. You open up to the last page, you read the last page. And probably that's what the rest of the book is about. Where do we get this principle from? It's the Gemara in Saita. The Gemara says, the Torah is kulai gemilas chasadim. The Torah is all chesed. It starts, Hashem clothed Adam and Chava. It ends that Hashem buried Moshe. So it starts with Malbish Harumim. It ends with Kfuras Mesim. Probably the whole Torah is about the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So let's apply that principle to the Haggadah. You would expect that if the Haggadah begins a certain way and it ends a certain way, probably that's what the rest of the Haggadah is about. And sure enough, how does the Haggadah begin? Ha shata hacha. L'shana haba ba'arad Yisrael. This year we're here. Next year in Israel. How does the Haggadah end? Shana haba b'Yerushalayim. So it's very interesting. If you would not be familiar with the text of the Haggadah, you would think the whole Haggadah is about yearning to be in Yerushalayim. The problem is, if you actually open up the Haggadah and you read all 1,820 words in the Haggadah, you'll notice that none of it is about yearning for Yerushalayim. It's all about the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So we've explained, Beis Rabbeinu B'Chaye says, all the Nevi'im prophecy in the same way, that all the events of Yetzias Mitzrayim were the prototype and the pre-enactment and the paradigm of the future redemption. That there are going to be makos against the nations of the world, there's going to be a Kriyas Yamsuf. Even the fact that there are 3 dates given, 210, 400, 430. If you look in Daniel, 3 different dates are given for the coming of Moshiach, and just like in Mitzrayim, they couldn't reconcile it until it happened. Certainly, the dates given in Sefer Daniel we can't reconcile until the Moshiach comes. So basically, Yetzias Mitzrayim was a trial run, a practice, a rehearsal for the future redemption. So if you're sitting around the table, and your kids are like, it's 11 o'clock at night, why are we telling a story that happened 3,300 years ago? Say, we're not. This is not about what happened in the past. This is not about history. It's about destiny. It's not about past, it's about the future. This is the handbook with which the miracles that we're going to see, those miracles were created with the events of Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's not so important what happened in the past, it's about what will happen to us in the future. So really the entire text of the Haggadah is an exercise in yearning for redemption. Let's say, in other words, if somebody asks you, what should I be thinking about when I say the Haggadah? What should my main thought be when I say the Haggadah? What should my feeling be when I say the Haggadah? When you're saying the Haggadah, the overwhelming thought should be, everything I'm reading, I am looking forward to seeing in the future. And therefore, one of the most important responsibilities that we have the night of the Seder is to be Mitzapa Yeshua. When you read about Makas Dam, there's going to be Dam, there's going to be Tzfardeya, there's going to be Kinim. You don't think there could be Choshech? No, it's impossible. No. There's no way God could ever blot out the light of the sun. It will never happen. It could happen. It could happen. It's possible. It could happen. When that happens, you're not going to go say, well, it's only going to be in Rochester. It's not only going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, and Mexico. Wherever the Rebbeinu Shalom wants, there could be Choshech. But one of the main avodos of the Seder is to yearn for the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, if not the main responsibility. And of course, at the end of the Haggadah, we have the Pizmoin, Adirhu, Yivne, Beisai, Bekarayv, B'mehera, B'yamenu, Bekarayv. So now, we did Rosh Chodesh, Pesach. You ready? We're going around the year. Sfiras HaOmer. Sfiras HaOmer, what do? You say the bracha. You count the day. Hayom Yom, today is negative 17 of the Omer. Yesterday was negative 18. Tomorrow will be negative 16. Don't worry, I could still count. And then after we finish, we say Harachaman Hu Yachzer Lanu Avodas Beis Hamikdash L'Makayma. We immediately say a tefillah for the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because it's not a real sfira. Because according to most Rishonim, sfira is only the Rabbanon. Why? Because it's dependent on the Karban Omer, and we don't have the Karban Omer. So part and parcel of our fulfillment of the mitzvah of Sfira is to be Mitzapa Yeshua. You can't even separate the two. Part of counting the Omer is davening that Hashem should rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. So now Sfira Omer, Lag BaOmer. For those who missed the beginning of the shir, this is coming out soon. Lag BaOmer. You say, What are there 5 pages in this book? How can you have a Seder and Lag BaOmer? What do you do? You shoot a bow and arrow, and you light a fire. A lot of the book is about the following statement in the Zohar. The Zohar says, you ready? In Parshas Nasai, Raya Mehemna, Uvegin da Asidin Yisrael lemitam mehai ilana dechaye ihu sefer Zohar yipkun min galusa berachame. A lot of the sefer is about this statement of the Zohar. The Zohar says, in the end of days, the Jews will taste the tree of life of the Zohar, and they will be redeemed. In other words, the Zohar predicts, and the Zohar teaches, the main thing holding up the Geula is lack of study of Kabbalah. So we once spoke about lack of study of Kabbalah. That's because you need to know Shas and Poskim, and it takes a whole lifetime to learn Shas and Poskim. So how could we ever expect Mashiach to come if what's holding it up is learning the Zohar, and you can't really learn it unless you're, one of the all-time great luminaries? So then how's this ever going to happen? You're going to have to read the book. But the Zohar says that when the Zohar is revealed to the world, Mashiach will come. Rabbi Yaakov Hillel observes that there is no kever in the world that has more of magnetic force than the Rashbi. Right? Saying, Rabbi Akiva's kever, are thousands of people gathering there? Or is there any kever in the world that attracts more visitors than Rav Shem Bar Yochai? I don't think so. Why? Why? I love you. Not as many as the Rashbi. I hope not. So why is the Rashbi's kever so magnetic? So Rabbi Yaakov Hillel says, because since the Zohar predicts that in order for Mashiach to come, you need to learn the Zohar. So Jews somehow have a sixth sense that this is the makom, that the seeds from which the seeds of Mashiach will develop. And even if someone never learned the Zohar in his life and didn't know that, there is this subconscious draw that we know it's coming from there. So basically, on Lag BaOmer, which is the yard of the Rashbi, what should one be thinking on Lag BaOmer? On Lag BaOmer, one should be thinking, this is the day the secrets of the Torah were revealed, and somehow, when we're able to taste from those secrets, Mashiach will come. The main idea of Lag BaOmer is to be mitzapeh for the Yeshua. Okay? You could shoot a bow and arrow. Don't shoot anyone from point range. Take it easy. You could you could have a barbecue. You could play baseball in Friends Field. Where are you supposed to play baseball? Wherever you need to do. But the main avodah of Lag BaOmer is to be mitzapeh Yeshua. Let's talk about Shavuos. What do you do on Shavuos? So listen carefully. We read Megillas Rus on Shavuos. Why in the world do we read Megillas Rus on Shavuos? Well, because David was born on Shavuos. Okay, great. On your birthday, do we read your story? Do we all of a sudden now we read about people on their birthday? That's a new halacha. I didn't know that. Do we read about Moshe Rabbeinu on Zayin Adar? Do we read about other people? We don't even know when most Gedolim's birthday are. Why do we read about David HaMelech on his birthday? Okay, you ready for this? In a nutshell, and there's a very big mimer on this. In a nutshell, during the Zman of Sfira, we're going to be mourning the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. Since when do we have Avelos for the death of tzaddikim? We only have Avelos for Churban Beis HaMikdash. We have the 3 weeks, we have Tanesim. There were many Gedolim that were murdered throughout the year. We don't have Avelos that you're not allowed to shave and you're not allowed to have meat. What's this idea that we have a period of Avelos for the students of Rabbi Akiva? Since when does the death of tzaddikim create Avelos like Churban Beis HaMikdash? The answer is it's not about them per se. Listen carefully. In the times of Rabbi Akiva, there was someone who was supposed to be Mashiach. His name was Bar Kochva. Rabbi Akiva believed he was Mashiach. If Rabbi Akiva believed he was Mashiach, that means he would have been Mashiach. Rabbi Akiva didn't make a mistake. He would have been Mashiach. And if he would have been Mashiach, he would have built the third Beis HaMikdash. But why wasn't he the Mashiach? Because the students of Rabbi Akiva died. And because they died, he couldn't be Mashiach. So the Beis HaMikdash couldn't be built. So the Avelus of Sfira is Avelus Chorban Beis HaMikdash. Which Beis HaMikdash? The third. Did you realize that? So, because the students of Rabbi Akiva died, therefore we can't shave. Does that make sense? Since when can't you shave? Because Talmidei Chacham passed away. It's because they died, Bar Kochva could not be established as the Goyel, and therefore Mashiach couldn't come, and there was no third Beis HaMikdash. So it was akin to Churban. Now, basically, the job of Mashiach has to overcome the 49 forces of impurity of Mayav, and then Mashiach comes. Mayav is Gematria 49. In order for Mashiach to come, we need to destroy Mayav. That's why, right when David comes to power, he destroys Mayav. Without getting into the entire subject, there are 49 days of Sfira to overcome the force of impurity of Mayav. And then if we're successful in doing that, on the 50th day, David is born, representing the Geula. The entire purpose of Sfiras Ha'omer and Shavuos is to yearn for the coming of David HaMelech. So Shavuos is a time, say, really? I thought on Shavuos you have to eat cheesecake. You don't have to eat cheesecake. You don't have to. It's not a chiyuv. You can have any dairy product. But you do have to be mitzapeh l'Yeshua. That's part and parcel why there are 49 days of Sfira, and we read about the birth of David HaMelech on the 50th day.
You mentioned that the last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is there a different kavanah here than every day?
So in the beginning of the show, we reviewed the 13 times Yom Mitzapah daily. We added a 14th. You'll hear, we forgot about one. Now we're talking about the around the year cycle. The various mitzvahs and zmanim around the year are really honed in and focused on being mitzapeh l'Yeshua. So there's a daily avodah, all the various mentions in the tefillah, and then around the year. Number 6.
You're saying that the 49 is connected Mayav.
Yes.
What about Adam?
What about them?
I don't know. The same worries of Mayav.
Why don't you have to overcome them?
Adam, what?
Why don't you have to overcome them?
Yeah.
You got to overcome them also. What is dedicated? I'll tell you, once you mentioned Edom, I had a very interesting idea. I didn't say it yet, so I'm going to say it, but even though it's random. You know how many psukim in last week's Parsha Shmini? What's the siman for the number of psukim in Parsha Shmini? Oivadya. So I was wondering, why Oivadya siman? Very simple. You know what we read last week? We read about the pig, the chazer. V'hu geira lo yigar. The Achronim say, why does it say future? Because at that point in time, the harm that Edom was going to do was going to still be in the future. It was a prophecy. In other words, Parsha Shmini, we read about the future trouble Edom will cause us. So you read Shmini, and it's a very frightening thing. We have to read about what this Chazir is going to do to us in the end of days. So Hashem says, don't worry. Oivadya siman. Oivadya was the Navi who prophesied about the downfall of Edom. So if you're getting worried, you're getting a little worked up about how many psukim about Parshas Shmini, and you read about the Chazir and what they're going to do in the future, don't worry. Oivadya siman. Oivadya already prophesied they're eventually going to fall. Okay, let's move on. You like that? Thank you. Tisha B'Av, we, of course, we're Misa'abel over Yerushalayim. And then it comes Mincha, and on Mincha we say a bracha. It's one of the few brachos that we only say once a year. You want to hear a good trivia question? How many brachos are there that you only say once a year? What brachos do you only say once a year?
Besides like the classic, like
Elon.
Ne'ilah?
Elon. Berchas Elon.
Oh, Berchas HaElan. Okay.
Shofar.
Elon's matzah.
Achilas Matzah, you had 2 nights.
What's large?
Lahadlik Ner Shel Yom HaKippurim. Berchas Ha'ilan, Nachem on Tisha B'Av, and Al Bir Chametz. This is also no extra charge, okay? That's just. Now, in Nachem, we're mispalel. We ask Hashem to console the mournful city of Yerushalayim, Ir Ha'avela V'Hachareva, Habezuya Shaimema, and we say, Al Kein Sion B'Mar Sivkev Yerushalayim Titein Koila Ki Ata Hashem Ba'esh Hitzata Uva'esh Ata Asid Livnoisa. It's a very poignant and powerful tefillah, and it demonstrates, if it's the one added bracha that we say to the Shemona Esrei on Tisha B'Av, that's reflective that the whole theme of Tisha B'Av is not only to be misabel for Yerushalayim, but also to be mitzapeh for the Yeshua. Next time, Shabbos Nachamu. What's the purpose of Shabbos Nachamu? Not what's the purpose of Matzoi Shabbos Nachamu. What's the purpose of Shabbos Nachamu? What are you supposed to do? The Maril says, Yismechu kol ha'am, you should rejoice, v'yivtechu, and have confidence, l'nechamas bias hagoyel, in the coming of the redemption. The purpose of Shabbos Nachamu is to await Mashiach. That's number 7. Next, we're ready in after Chodesh Av, Elul. Elul. Remember Slichos? Especially Sfardim, they say Slicha the whole month. One of the main parakim in the Slichos of that we say is Zechar Lanu Bris Rishayim. We say Ba'af Gam Zois B'Yoisam Be'eretz Vayvehem Lo Ma'astim Lo Ga'altim Hashev Shvuseinu. We say Kabetz Nidachenu, and V'Haviyoisem Al Har Kodshi V'Simachtem B'Veis Tfilasi Oilei Seihem V'Zivcheim L'Rat. So we ask Hashem to rebuild the base of English. In other words, you were there in the show for 30 minutes saying Slichos. So what did you do? I said 57,000 words. Okay, Shkoyach. We know you said the words, but what did you do? You have to be able to say, okay, one of the main things that I accomplished by saying Slichos, I was Mitzapeh L'Binyan Beis HaMikdash. Rosh Hashanah, you remember Rosh Hashanah? I'm going to ask you a trivia question. What do they blow on Rosh Hashanah? No, just okay. What are you supposed to think when you hear the shofar? You know, Rav Sadia Gaon says, one time we have to have a share on this. Rav Sadia Gaon gives 10 reasons for Tkiyah Shofar. One of the things Rav Sadia Gaon writes, that Avudraham quotes, is that the purpose of the shofar is to remind us that one day Hashem is going to gather all the Nidchei Yisrael, and the purpose of Tkiyah Shofar is you should desire Kibbutz Galuyos. One of the purposes of Tkiyah Shofar is to be Mitzapeh L'Geula. I heard the shofar, I'm waiting to hear the shofar of Mashiach. So here it is, it's a day of judgment. They're blowing the shofar. What's one of the main things to think about? Awaiting the coming of Mashiach. Oh, the shofar, that's the shofar. Oh, that reminds, reminiscent of the Tkab shofar Gadol L'Cheruseinu. And besides that, we're all familiar that the main body of the Shemona Esrei and the Yom Naram is centered around Tefillah for the restoration of Malchus Beis David. We say Simcha li'artzecha. We ask Hashem to bring joy to Eretz Yisrael. V'sasoin li'recha, to bring happiness to your city. Utsmichas karen leDavid avdecha. What does it mean, smichas karen leDavid avdecha? Hashem should give eminence to David HaMelech, that the Malchus Beis David should emerge. And we say, Hashem, you'll rule over Yerushalayim. When will this be? Coming of the Gula. Here it is, it's a Yom Hadin, it's a Rosh Hashanah, it's Yom Kippur. The main body of the Shemona Esrei is what? Be Mitzapeh Yeshua. Yom Kippur. We say the Avodah, and we talk about the Mareh Kohen, how splendorous the Kohen Gadol looked when he came out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And we say this was all when the Beis HaMikdash was standing. Ashrei, Ayin, Ra'asa, Kol Eila. Fortunate is the eye who saw all of this. Haloi lemishma oizen doava nafshenu. How painful it is that we don't have it anymore. So that means that part of the avodah of Yom Kippur is to be mitzapeh, that we should do it again. So you say, what are you going to do on Sukkot? Sukkot? The whole purpose of the Sukkah. What do you say in Birchas Hamazon? Right? In Birchas Hamazon, they give you one line for Sukkot. You only get one line. Say, I don't know, Harachaman, Hashem, you should shade us from our enemies. You know, if you were writing a Harachaman for Sukkot, what would you say? Hashem, give us sweetness this year, like the Esrog. I could think of a lot of Harachamans. Would you necessarily think that the theme of Sukkot is Ribbon Hashem, you gave us the Sukkah, but your Sukkah, the Sukkah's David, the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed. Harachaman hu yakim lanu es Sukkah's David anoifoles. That means, if you needed to capture what should you think about sitting in the Sukkah, think about, Ribbon Hashem, thank you for giving us a sukkah. We remember the sukkahs you gave us when we left Mitzrayim, but I can't help but think that your sukkah collapsed. Please, Hashem, restore the sukkah's David. And what do you do on Hoshana Rabbah? On Shmini Atzeres, when you leave the sukkah? What do you say? You say, Yehi Ratzain, that next year we should be sitting in the shade of the Levyasan. And when is that? On a regular Tuesday? When is the Levyasan? In between Labor Day and Memorial Day. It's from by the time of the Geula. Hoshana Rabbah. You're getting ready. You're revved up. You've been working out for months to pulverize your Hoshanas. You're not going to let one single leaf remain on those sticks. You're gonna release all the tension from the whole year. You ever see people the day before Hoshana Rabbah, the anxiety on them, the pent up frustration, because they've been bottling it up the whole year. You ever say that? Why do you think Shmini Atzeres is the happiest day of the year? Because the guy just released all the tension from the whole year on Hoshana. He just beat the living daylights out of the Hoshana. He's a new man. Right before you beat up the Hoshana, we have this beautiful Pizmain. Kol mevaser v'omer. I know everybody knows. Kol mevaser v'omer. The only thing nobody has any idea what it's about. Kol mevaser. What is that? A Yiddish newspaper? Kol mevaser. What is Kol mevaser about? Kol mevaser. In people's mind, it has something to do with beating up the Hoshana. What is it about? It's about all the besurais that we will hear when Mashiach comes. That's every single line. Oimetz yeshach haba, the strength of your salvation is coming. Koil doidi, the sound of my beloved. Hinei zaba, mevaser v'omer. Koil ba, berivavais kitim. Lamoid al harzeisim, the Rebbe will stand on harzeisim. Koil gishtoi b'ashofar liska, he's going to blow the shofar. The mountain will split. Half the mountain will move. Mash chatzi harmi mizrach. Bas kol yishama ba'olam. It's a very vivid and illustrative account of what will happen when Mashiach comes. Migdol Yeshua Ismalkoi. Shemer Sha'am Lahavid. Oisa Chesed L'Mashiachoi. Koil Simi Ad Damesek. Yerushalayim will expand until Damascus. All these places, they're inching a foot closer, they're getting a little closer. No. We're expanding until Damascus. That's what the prophet says. So what's the avoid of Hoshana Rabbah? To be mitzapeh Yeshua. How about Chanukah?
Why do we clap Hoshanas?
Why do we clap Hoshanas? Because we talk too much. The Hoshana is the Arava. The Esog represents the heart. The Lulav represents the Shidra. The Hadassim represent the eyes. The Arava represents the lips. The Ga'onim, right? Our biggest problem is we talk too much. If we would silence ourselves, we'd be much better off. So we take our lips, we put them in the dust, and we say, Rebbeinu Shalom, that's it. I'm not going to abuse it anymore. Chanukah. Rabbeinu Bechai says the word Chanukah comes from, it is a inauguration of the coming of Mashiach. That's why it's 8 days. 8 represents Lamala Min HaTeva. You know, the Gemara says that why is Esther compared to the morning star? Just like the morning star is the end of the night, Esther is the last miracle. So the Gemara says, what about Chanukah? Chanukah was after Purim. Says the Gemara, Chanukah you don't write down. Sfas Emes explains, Chanukah is not the last miracle. Chanukah is the first miracle of the coming of the Geula. Purim is still from the first era of world history. Chanukah is the beginning of the Moshiach Mashiach. Say, really? You're supposed to be Mitzapeh Yeshua on Chanukah? Avada. What are we saying? We're saying, Hashem, unleash the power of your arm. V'karev kates hayeshua. Nekaim nikmas dam avadecha. From who? Rabbi Yitzchak wanted to know, when are we getting rid of Edom? Dechei admoin b'tzehel tzamoin. Chanukah. Chanukah we take care of Edom. Why are we davening for the coming of the Gula? We just lit the Ner Chanukah. Why are we being mispalel for the coming of the Gula? The answer is Chanukah is the inauguration of the coming of the Gula HaSida. Tu B'Shvat. In what month will the Gula happen? B'Nisan Nigalu, u'B'Nisan Asidin Ligal. Okay. So if the Gula will happen in Nisan, that's going according to the Shita that the world was created in Nisan. According to the Shita, the world wasn't created in Nisan. What was the first day of creation? Right? According to the opinion, the world was created Rosh Chodesh Nisan. What was really the first day of creation? Adam was created on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. But the first day of creation, when did Hashem say Yehi Ar? Chaf Hei Adar. So it's probably the beginning of the redemption process will start Chaf Hei Adar. And when does it arise in the mind of Hashem Kiviyachal to bring the Geula? 40 days earlier. What's 40 days before Chaf Hei Adar? Tu B'Shvat. That's why the Rishna writes, Tu B'Shvat is the Keser L'Yimei HaGeula. And we eat the fruits because the Gemara tells us that there's no greater siman of the coming of Mashiach than the proliferation of fruits in Eretz Yisrael. So Tu B'Shvat, so to speak, is when we have a premonition. We could have a certain sense that, the process begins. And how about Purim? So, we just had Purim. So you don't want to hear about Purim. You want to hear about Pesach. We started with Pesach. There's this mitzvah on Purim to drink. You ever hear of this mitzvah? Chayiv Adam, Chayiv Inish B'Sumei B'Puraya, Ad Lo Yada, Me'ar Haman, L'Barach Mardechai. Anybody know why we have a mitzvah to drink on Purim? Isn't that an unusual mitzvah? People could do really unusual things if they drink too much on Purim. Why would there be a mitzvah to drink? You know why? Because when the miracle of Purim happened, it was in the immediate aftermath of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. They couldn't celebrate. So Mordechai said, you know what? We have to make a Yom Tov. They said, we can't celebrate. We're in really bad shape. Mordechai says, so go medicate yourselves. Drink until you don't remember about the Churban Beis HaMikdash. So they said, Mordechai, you're going to write in the Shulchan Aruch, we should drink that we don't remember the Beis HaMikdash? No. I'm going to couch it. I'm going to say, drink so much that you don't remember me. But you get the point. I can never write that drink so much that you don't remember the Churban Beis HaMikdash. I'll write Ad Lo Yada between me and that bad guy. But the real meaning is, the Lekach Tov says, to forget about Churban Beis HaMikdash. So Rav Shlomo Zalman says, probably, when Mashiach comes, there will no longer be a mitzvah to drink on Purim. That's why it's the only mitzvah. It's not in the Megillah. You ever notice? all the other mitzvahs are in the Megillah. This one's not in the Megillah. It's not really part of the Yom Tov. The Yom Tov is to rejoice. So what do? You have a guy, he has to go to the simcha of a relative, and he's in rough shape, he's in terrible shape. He's all depressed. You say, take something today, just take something, and that's the only way he could pull out of it. So drinking on Purim is medication to be able to enjoy a Yom Tov in the Galas. When Mashiach comes, there will no longer be a mitzvah to drink, says Rav Shlomo Zalman. Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, when you wish someone Purim Sameach, it's a tefillah. You should be zoiche to the binyan Beis Hamikdash when you'll have a real Purim. But so long as we don't have a Beis Hamikdash, we don't really have a real Purim. We got to medicate ourselves to have a Purim. I glad the thought of that, but that was my own thing, so. But shkayach. Okay, so basically, you ready for the executive summary of the 15 times of the year? Rosh Chodesh. In other words, when Rosh Chodesh is coming, what should I rev myself up to do? To mitzapeh liyeshua. The Leil Seder. What's my main avodah? Adirhu yivne beisay b'karayv. I start Hashata Hachal Lashana Babar Yisrael. I end Lashana Bab Yerushalayim. Sfiras Ha'omer. Harachamanu Yachsalan Aves Beis Hamikdash. Lag Ba'omer. In the merit of the Rashbi, the Geula will come. Shavuos is the Leida of David HaMelech. Tisha B'Av, that Hashem should rebuild Yerushalayim. Shabbos Nachamu, to Mitzapeh Yeshua. Slichais, when you hear the shofar, the shofar. I desire to hear the shofar of Mashiach. The avodah of Yom Kippur. So when you sit in the sukkah, you're mispalel. The Rebbeinu Shem should rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. Hoshana Rabbah, it's a time to anticipate, to hear the koil mevaser v'omer. Chanukah is a inauguration of the coming of the Geula. We mentioned Tu B'Shvat is when it's Olah b'machshavta shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu to redeem Klal Yisrael, and of course Purim is we have to remember that in the Golus we are not zoicha to a full Purim yet. Coming back to Pesach, the Sforno writes that the night of the Seder is called the Leil Shimurim. Why? Because since B'Tesvav B'Nisan Nigalu, we have a tradition B'Tesvav B'Nisan Asidan Ligael. So it's not only we who are awaiting the Yom Tov of Pesach, but Hashem is also awaiting the Yom Tov of Pesach, because as much as we are Mitzapeh Liyeshua, the Rebbeinu Shem is Yoshev u'Mitzapeh to redeem us. So we should take a bizoicha in this month. Rebbeinu Shem u'V'Nisan Asidan Ligael. What's wrong with this Nisan? I think this is a good Nisan to make it happen. So, in the zchus of our being Mitzapeh Liyeshua, we should be zoicha b'sachazena einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion b'rachmem. Have a good night, and Bez Hashem next week will be our final share before Yom Tov. Shkayach, everyone.
Shkayach. Thank you.
Kol tov.
Thank you.